The way I view what's going on in the country at the moment and how the world views what's happening at the moment as well, what I am noticing is you have a lot of countries who are becoming very polarized on this issue. Some countries are going pro-Palestinian, other countries are going pro-Israeli. Still, some countries are trying to keep this sort of fair ground between both, where you have countries that are, for example, prohibiting produce from settlements, you know, but at the same time keep normal relations with Israel, you know. And a lot of countries, for example, Sweden was one of those countries who had a difficulty in keeping this position that they had, because they were Swedish foreign minister was actually attacked by Israeli politicians, stating that her intentions are anti-Semitic. She should not have such a stance against products from Israeli settlements and the like. And what we're basically seeing is people who are watching alternative news resources such as, that are found on the internet, that are found all over the world, basically, whether it's television or mostly the internet, as the internet has provided a new sort of way to present information and media. And at the same time, you have these, for the most part, mainstream media outlets, whether they're for or against Israel or Palestine, they'll always show a very polarized perspective. Now, those people also choose what they want to see. And that also basically forms their own opinions on what's going on. So you're going to have some people who are viewing this as a military occupation of the 1967 territories, which are supposedly the state that Palestine was declared upon in 2011. And you have other people who are calling for a Palestinian state from the Mediterranean Sea to the Jordan River. But you also have the same arguments and the same perspectives being held by pro-Israeli, the pro-Israeli camp, who are saying, who don't even call the West Bank the West Bank. They would call it Judea and Samaria. And whenever I hear that, to be honest, I feel alienated. That this is coming from a person who's actually living in the situation, because I cannot relate to anybody who's either with or against me living outside, because they can think all they want. I'm the one who's living this reality. They're not here to see what I see. They're not here. They don't get stopped at Israeli checkpoints. And at the same time, they're not worried about a Palestinian stab attack. They have never worked in a situation. For example, me, I get a lot of flack for working for Press TV, which is an Iranian television station. But at the same time, when I talk to my colleagues in other media outlets, when I go to Europe, for example, and I tell them, you are not in the same situation I'm living in. So you cannot truly understand or judge what I've been going through, what I've seen, what's happened to me, even in the course of my work. Last year alone, I was detained numerous times. To be honest, I did not count. One time I was actually detained, strip searched on the side of the road, while wearing a flak jacket that has press written on it. So basically I was designated as a non-combatant. And that's just a clear violation of the 4th Geneva Convention, which differentiates between combatants and non-combatants. Yeah. When you have a military that's being run by children, and to be honest, that's what I've experienced every time I was detained, stopped, searched, and arrested. They're children.
Teenagers. They're
teenagers. These kids, like, if I catch them on the street, I would like, what are you doing? Go home. It's past your bedtime.
They're literally kids.
They're literally kids. They're literally kids.
By the way,
and they're militarized. Okay, and it's a very militaristic society that they're a part of. I'm not saying the entirety of it. I mean, I have Israeli friends who have nothing to do with the military. Nothing at all. And in fact, I use them as credible sources for my information as well. I do.
By the way,
it's funny, but I do.
By the way, I used to strip. They forced me to strip in the street 10 times. 10 times.
Every time I travel, I'm forced into
like now, I think I used to strip in the street.
And I'm strip searched and I'm interrogated. Where are you going? Why are you going there?
Who are you meeting?
Who are you meeting? Okay. And this is information that's actually readily available to the public. Like an event, for example, in Belgium, in Brussels, I was invited to the European Council and the European Parliament back in November. And on my way back, I was detained by Israeli intelligence at the Allenby Bridge. And for me, it's very ironic because in the Arabic name for the Allenby Bridge is the Dignity Bridge. There is no dignity involved in crossing that border.
Yeah.
Because I've been stopped there for hours at end. There are times where I've been stopped to up to 8 and 9 hours at one time, being interrogated, strip search, asked, what am I doing? Please remove
what's your mother name? What's your
Actually, no. What's my mother name? I've never been asked. But I've always been asked, who is your father? You know, or to say in a very joking, who is your father? You know, and it's just.
By the way,
You know, I'm like, anymore, I'm just crashing into the wall.
Just so culturally, I just figured this out, that in Arab culture, you're not allowed, it's considered an insult to ask somebody their mother's name. It's inappropriate.
Some cultures.
We had never, okay, Mizrahi Jews do know this, probably, or the parents do, but no idea that existed.
It's a thing, but it's also dying out
like
nowadays.
To the Orient.
No, like even when somebody said that, I thought they were kidding. But when somebody told me the story, I was like, "Come on, you're kidding, right?" And I couldn't figure out the connection until they said.
But like you can still find it in more conservative societies, like Saudi Arabia, for example, it's still considered insulting. But like in Palestine, for the most part,
it's not.
It's not for the most part. I'm not saying
my
it.
mother name is Huda. So.
Yeah, my mother's name is Shayna. Not a problem. You can all use it if you want.
That's a beautiful name.
That's a beautiful name.
Shayna?
Shayna.
It's actually a Yiddish name. Yeah.